Right. Right. So this is gonna sound weird, right? But remember, we helping to heal the white psyche, right, from being amongst the oppressors, right? That's what the Quran is about, right? Healing the white psyche, right, from being amongst the oppressors, right? So helping whites to come out from being amongst the oppressors or having a mindset that's in tune with oppression, right? As well as Caribbean and other colored nations, right? Leaders of other colored nations whose mindset is will resound or resonates with the colonial mindset or the oppressor mindset, right? Wherever you are in the world, right? So one of the things I need to understand about this, right? And this is something that they don't want you to know, right? Elites, right? Know and they don't want you to know, right? And the Quran is the cure and the healing, right? And they don't want you to know that you don't have to actually identify the Quran with Muslim, right? You don't have to identify the Quran with being Muslim. And this is what they don't want you to know. And this is a trap. Right? The Quran was revealed for all of mankind, right? You see, not everybody willing to go through the journey, right? So you start to read the book, you get a little attack, right? If that's the case, right? But I fight and I hope that my fight would remove the attacks that would come onto other people who try to go through that, right? But I don't know if that is actually the process. If you have to go through and if the book, like I was saying, remember the book is actually be the judge. So I don't know if that's like a individual thing everybody gotta go through, right? If it's like you're not Muslim, right? But that's part of the process. If it is that you have to go through that, right? You have to go through it because that's the healing process, and the healing is come with excruciating pain sometimes, right? So depending, right, and depending on your karma and karmic resolution and all that, right? But what they won't tell you, and what is a point I want to make in this video, right? To stop seeking approval from Muslims with regard to reading the Quran, right? The Quran don't have anything to do with, oh, only a Muslim could read it, right? So that's a mindset that people need to get out of, right? Which is what I had to struggle to get out of because you're associating Muslim people with the Quran. And there are a lot of evil Muslims, just like there are a lot of evil whites, evil Hindus, evil Christians all over the world, evil Chinese all over the world, right? Evil Africans all over the world, along with evil every other race, indigenous people, everything, right? So this is what you need to understand that the Quran is a book revealed for all of mankind, right? And you need to stop associating it with a sect or a group of people. The book is not to be associated with a sect of people or seeking approval, right, from a sect of people or a group of people in order to read or to understand or to interpret it, right? Because your relationship with Allah is actually a personalized one, right? So this is what you need to understand. Your relationship with Allah is not your relationship with Muslims, right? This is what you need to understand, right? As whites or non-Muslims, right, reading the Quran, you need to understand that your relationship, right, with Allah is not your relationship with Muslims, right? In fixing your relationship with Allah, you would automatically fix your relationship with Muslims, right? So in order to get to the point where you say, hey, right, how could I build better relations with Muslims, right? You need to fix your psyche, right? And to fix your psyche, you need to fix your relationship with Allah, right? So in order for that coming together, right? Of I know there's always this kind of this fringe, this unhealthy relationship between whites and Muslims, right? In order to fix that, right? The Quran and Allah is the cure, and you need to spend time with yourself in order to get into that cure, right? You need to spend time with yourself in order to get into that cure, right? And to build that relationship with Allah, which will fix in turn automatically and almost naturally, right? That relationship that you all have. So it's to fix that relationship, right? The white Muslim and Muslim relationship, right? Fix all your relationship, right? Fix all your relationship, right? Fix it, right? Um, right. So, it's to understand that Allah is the only guide, right? The source, the truth, the source, the guide, right? That could fix the relationship between white Britain, right? America and Islam, right? So that others wouldn't have to be roped in into all the disputes, right? And the Quran is a cure for understanding, right? White needs to understand the colored psyche, right? As somebody in the British monarchy, you need to understand the colored psyche, right? In order to get into a relationship with a colored person, right? Especially if you're in the elite colored society, right? You need to have a deep understanding if in a deep elite British society, you need to have a deep understanding of the colored psyche and how you all your ancestors would have perpetrated violence against the colored psyche, right? Before you could actually engage that relationship and for it to be fruitful and so on, right? Because people just have this idea of an interracial relationship. Oh, you see two people together. Oh, they're so cute. They're so cute. If you know, I hate that concept, right? I love interethnic relations, right? But I hate, right, when people see two people of a different race together, white Indian, Afro, white Indian, white Afro, Chinese, this, right? And they say, oh, they look so cute together. Oh, they look so cute together, right? That's one thing I do like because it has so much thing below that. It has so much things in that. Right? And that's why I really and God didn't let me have really didn't really know what he was doing when he didn't let me have a child, right? With anybody of a different race back then, right? Because it has so much underneath there that need to be healed first, right? Not from me necessarily, not from that person necessarily, but just as a collective experience, right? Because two people could be healthy people, right, with healthy knowledge, right? But it's the whole collective experience and background story, right? That just make it all. It's so much to uncover, right? It's so much to it's so much to uncover, right? So this what is just it's just to understand these things, right? It's just to understand these things, right? To understand the Quran is basically a guide to understanding. If you read it from a white perspective, right, is a guide to understanding, right, your own psyche and the colored psyche. If you want to get into a relationship with a inter-ethnic relationship with a colored, right, and also a colored person wanted to get in an inter-ethnic relationship with a white, right, you need to understand what's the background of this person, right? There's this, and sometimes I think, oh, I am disassociated by ancestors, right? You might think that, and oh, that, but it's something inherited that needs to be healed, right? So it's not like this could have happened overnight, right? Because I have a lot of white people who like colored people because you're exotic, you're different, you're unique, you're exotic. Like we like the color, your skin, your little tan out, right? You're not too dark, you're not too fair, you're not too dark, but you're exotic, right? Sometimes that's how white people think, right, about some colors, right? We don't wear you too dark, we don't wear you too black, right? We don't wear you too fair either, but you're just right, you're exotic, right? And there's all these things that I need to fix because why? What's the difference? Why, right? So all of these things is things that I need to bring to the surface and ask myself, well, what's the root of that thought, that strain of thought? What's the root of that strain of thought, right? Why I like the person I like and why I like the skin color or the tie, why I choose that person, why I choose you, right? Is it because we have a common history, background, understanding, right? Why it is? Why you choose the person who you choose? You love them, why, right? So it's just to examine these things, right? People say I think too much, but I don't think too much, right? I feel like these things is like normal things to me, right? These thinking about these things, right? It's like this how my brain is functioning on normal. You see all that series of videos I make so as a teacher in the Quran, that's how my brain is just be running on a normal. That's like my normal state of mind, right? Always thinking, right? And then in that capacity, right? So trying to understand life and people, right? And why all of this behave the way that, why we just behave, why I just behave, you, me, everybody, right? Just behave the way that we do, right? So this what you need to understand, coming back to the topic now, that the Quran is now about seeking approval, right? You don't need to seek approval from any Muslim group, any elite group, any Islamic group, anything like that. What you need to do is to open the book, start reading the book, right? And build a relationship with Allah, right? And everything else is secondary. You want to take a course in Islam, right? That is welcome. You're welcome to do that. You want to do this, you want to join some group, you're welcome. But first, yeah, the first entity being you seek approval from is Allah, right? because Allah is not really connected to any group specifically, right? Allah is Allah, right? Independent of any social, cultural, whatever grouping, right? So that's the first thing you have to do, right? And then after that, because the book is revealed, it's said in the book is revealed to all of mankind, right? So never think that, oh, this group had approved you. Like book even said, yeah, on this day I perfected your religion, right? Approved you for Islam and perfected your religion, right? So it's an individual, personalized relationship building, right? That's independent of any associates with Allah. And nobody died for your sins. Never forget, right? Good. And so it's just to build on that understanding, right? That connecting with Allah directly. I speak to you directly. Allah say, I speak to you directly, right? Meaning that there's no need for any intermediary between you and that direct source, right? And that's how Allah directly gives you interpretations, right? Meanings, perceptions, reality, all, everything in one, right? Once you seek, once you're willing, right?